Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or hello if you're new. In today's video I'm going to be talking about how to prevent split ends. Split ends are one of the biggest reasons why your hair might not be growing past a certain length, and for me, as soon as I knew how to treat and prevent split ends, I saw huge hair growth in my hair. My hair genuinely used to be really short, brittle, fragile, used to break all the time, never used to grow past a certain length, and I'd always hope for miracles. But turns out all I needed to know was how to prevent split ends, look after my hair and really help it grow, and it makes such a big difference. And so I wanted to share my top tips on how to prevent them, to stop getting them, and also to encourage your hair to grow and be as healthy as it possibly can. So without further ado, let's get straight into tips. So I'm going to dive straight into this, and if you have any questions that I haven't covered today, be sure to leave them in the comments below. I'm hoping to make this video short, snappy and straight to the point. So the first one is moisturize your hair. This can come in the form of any type of product, so that could be a hair mask, making sure that you have a hydrating shampoo or conditioner, and also hair oils or serums. All of them, the better, but I really want to focus on your moisture of your hair, and that's why I do so many videos about hair masks, because I really believe that there's such a fundamental step in your hair care routine that can help growth, prevent split ends, and just really improve the health of your hair. And they're so easy to use, they're so relaxing, and it really helps you just to chill out a little bit. And so that's why I really like them, but not just because of that, it's because they essentially really hydrate your hair. The fact that they're an intense conditioning product means that it's really focusing on replenishing your hair, especially if you have lack of moisture, which is one of the reasons why your hair will be splitting, because of the fact that it will be dry and brittle. As soon as I incorporated hair masks, I use about 2 a week averagely, but you can use one if you just get in the habit of using them on a regular basis. They will make such a big difference, and trust me, even if you just change that, you will already notice a big difference in your hair. But along with all the other tips, it's going to really make a sound way for you to look after your hair in the best way possible. But hair masks are a great way to add moisture, so are oils and serums. So after you style your hair, or if you just had a shower or anything like that, running an oil, especially through the ends, it's normally people have unbalanced hair where the root is more oily or greasy and the ends are more dry. So in terms of oils that I'm currently using and trying, and I'm going to do videos on really soon, is the Olaplex number 7 and also the Kerastase one, and those ones are very similar, and so I'm going to talk about the differences in those in an upcoming video. But just running them through your hair, it not only adds exceptional shine, which I love, but it just means you're really adding extra moisture into your hair even once it's dry. So those are a really great tip. Another reason that your hair is going to be breaking very easily is because it's completely fragile, and so you need to strengthen your hair. And that's probably something that people are saying, how do you even just strengthen your hair? And it's actually really easy. So you have products and then you have you. So if you look at you, let's talk about your diet, your water intake and things like that. Reasons that you look after your skin really work in the same way for your hair. And so just look at what you're eating, what you're drinking, what are you putting in your body. Is it the best thing for you, and is that affecting things? If you're stressed or you have deadlines coming up or anything like that, it's always going to affect your hair and your skin. So if you're starting to get a lot more breakouts, typically your hair reacts in a similar way but not as obvious. Then the other thing is products, and so strengthening products is something that you really need to add into your hair care routine, especially if you have dry, damaged hair that you just cannot treat and you've had it for so long, it's been years of neglect, and you're starting this hair care journey from the very beginning. The only thing I would say is that based on my experience on the things that I've tried, is that I don't believe that any of the drugstore products do the same thing as higher end ones. And the ones I'm specifically talking about are Philip Kingsley Elasticizer. That does such a good job of strengthening your hair bonds, and it's something that you use all the time, so it's a long-term product. You don't necessarily see amazing results from the first use, but you do after like a prolonged period of time. That's something that I use on my hair at least once a week, and I love it. Other products that do a really great job are Olaplex and those types of technologies that work on the hair bonds, and so it's that working from the inside out type of product is what you typically want to get and add to your hair care routine. And this is where you want to invest. So whether that's investing in yourself or investing in products, that's going to make a big difference to the way that your hair starts to look, and really does transform the way that it will be if you incorporate those types of products in. They're not necessarily cheap, but I've talked about the big elasticizer from Philip Kingsley before, and that for me has lasted over a year with someone that uses it regularly. So it's kind of an investment, but it's definitely worth it if you are desperate to have nice long hair. The next thing that could be causing your split ends is not being gentle on your hair, and this can affect things in different ways. So for example, you might be brushing it too hard, you might be washing it too vigorously, and you might be using too many harsh products. And so let's talk about those. When you brush your hair, you need to really start from the bottom and work your way up, so you're not just dragging your hair down. And if at this point you're not treating the ends first, you're going to just yank your hair. I've seen so many people brush their hair so violently, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, stop, you're making your hair break. So I always say start from the bottom, comb it. So if you have any knots are normal, I get them all the time. Brush from the bottom and then work your way up, and then by the time you get to the root, you're brushing straight through and there's no knots and tugs. That's really important to make sure that you're not yanking and pulling and breaking your hair. Next up, when you're washing your hair, you want to, for example, when you put shampoo, is just gently massage the scalp. I typically only shampoo the scalp. I might bring it down if I feel like there's a lot of product build up, but typically I just focus on my scalp and I gently massage it. You can also get a scalp massager if you want some assistance and you feel like you're just not doing it in the right way. And then when it comes to conditioner, I just run it through and I'll put the product in, and then I basically brush my hair, and not like with a hairbrush but with my fingers. So for example, if you are brushing your hair in the shower, that's going to do so much damage, and I'm going to get onto that in a minute, but just be really gentle. I just run the product through my fingers and I gently comb it through, and in that way I know it's evenly distributed without being harsh. You certainly don't want to be like rubbing your hair like this on your head, trying to get all the product in and trying to get it to lather, because that is just going to be causing so much damage. And again, it's almost creating trauma for your hair because you're just putting it through all of this movement and it's just breaking and snagging. And so you want to be really, really gentle where you can, and things like a silk pillowcase are always a really great shout as well for that gentle, preventing friction type of thing. Another point on that is then when it's wet, you want to be really, really careful when you're brushing it, when you're styling it and everything like that. I typically let my hair air dry, and if you're at the beginning of the journey with really, really broken ends and you're just desperate to get your hair to a normal length and for it not to be damaged, I say try to go on a heat ban and just don't use heat products on your hair at all. Let your hair air dry after a shower or a bath, because it's just so much better for your hair. If you are blow drying your hair like every 2 days and you're styling it all the time, that's so much damage to your hair. You want to just finish off blow drying after it's like 80% dry or whatever works for you. When you then go to brush your hair, you need to be so gentle. And again, where I spoke about starting at the bottom and working your way up very slowly and gently, using a product such as the wet brush, and again, my favorites will always be linked down below, as well as other hair care videos where I talk more in depth about these different things. But getting something like a wet brush that is specifically made to work with wet hair, it's so much more gentle. And my wet brush honestly is like my favorite hairbrush. It's so gentle, so nice to use, and it's just so easy to glide through my hair. When it's wet, again, I don't want those tugs, and I find some hair brushes that are particularly hard just don't give that flexibility to move through my hair. So a wet brush is definitely a worthwhile investment. They're really affordable and you can get them in loads of different colours and styles, but for me, having one has really changed the game when it comes to brushing my wet hair and then styling it as I need to. So I briefly touched on heat there, and when it comes to styling your hair, some people are just desperate to use heat. I get it. I use heat now and again. I try to prevent it as much as possible, but when I do, I make sure that I apply heat protection spray. It's really important to do that. If you're not doing it, then you're literally exposing your hair to like the heat. It's like if you went outside and you didn't put sunscreen on your skin, it's the same kind of effect. And so see it as sunscreen for your hair. It's really important and prevents that further damage. Ultimately, I would just say prevent using as much heat as you possibly can. Again, especially if you have really brittle hair, you need to make sure that you're just not using heat. Get someone to put them away so they're out of mind, out of sight, and just get really experimental with the different things that you can do on your hair. I have a tutorial on how I do heatless curls, which work so well. Genuinely one of my favorite ways to style my hair. Even when heat is an option, I will always opt for overnight curls. When I wake up in the morning, I just take it out and they're ready to go, and I just find that's a game changer. I love having curly hair, but I don't like using heat, so this is just the perfect formula. So I'll leave that video linked above and down below if you want to check that out and just see how I get my overnight curls that don't cause any damage but obviously my hair is then styled. And I get it, especially if people have longer hair. If you have longer hair, you typically want to style it more. It's a bit more kind of frizzy and out of the way. And unless you're putting it up all the time, if you want it down and you want it styled, there's loads of heatless ways that you can get curls and stuff like that. So I definitely recommend giving them a go. Get creative, try different methods. Everyone's going to find that different methods work differently for them. But for me, the one that I absolutely love is a video I've already done. And I literally do that probably 2-3 times a week at least. And I love it so much. Heat protection as well is really important if you live in warmer climates, if you live somewhere that's really hot. I live in the UK and so it's bloody freezing at the moment, but in the summer I always make sure I put heat protection in my hair, even if I'm just going outside and my hair is up. You can get a specific sun cream for your hair, which is a lot more thicker and a bit more problematic to get out, but just heat protection all the time is something that I definitely vow to use. I always like the products that have heat protection qualities in them, such as the Olaplex No. 7 oil has heat protection elements within it when you use it, so that's another product that you're getting that benefit from. And just making sure that you really know what your products are doing and how they're best benefiting your hair. So something that I did when I first noticed I used to get loads and loads of split ends, and I kind of touched on this already, is what to do with your hair when you're sleeping. And so when I first decided, I had like an epiphany moment and I was like, I need to transform my hair. My hair keeps breaking. I hate it. I was really insecure because it was so thin and I just hated it so much. I just felt so conscious about it. I made a decision there and then that like something needs to change. So when I started doing that, I used to sleep with my hair in plaits. So you could do French braids or just normal braids. I always find that that was just easier to manage my hair when I was asleep. There wasn't too much friction on the pillow. I don't actually have silk pillows myself, but I definitely want to buy some because I've seen so many benefits for hair care as well as skincare, and I'm definitely curious to see what they're like. But generally, and something that you don't have to invest if you are on a really tight budget, is just plait your hair. Again, there's so many tutorials. If you haven't done so before, you can learn very quickly. I learned by watching YouTube videos because I was always so bad at it, and my sister is so good at plaiting hair. And I learned to basically French braid my hair from top to bottom. I then tied it as low as I possibly could on my hair, and that prevented that friction on the pillow, and also meant that when I woke up I had like nice beachy waves, which meant my hair was somewhat styled without having to touch heat. So finding those different methods that work for you is really, really important. But I would just recommend sleeping with your hair in plaits more so than tying it out necessarily in too much of a tight bun or a ponytail. Ponytails, your hair is typically quite loose, and so the friction is still going to occur. So plaits are just a great way to prevent that damage, and I think they look really nice as well. So if you can get used to wearing plaits all the time, then that would be awesome. But if not, you have got that beachy wave in the morning if you want it. And then the last thing I wanted to touch on really on split ends is that there's no cure for when you have them. So if you are starting this journey, you realise that you've got lots of split ends, is that you're going to need to get them cut off. There are products that mask them and they cause a temporary fix almost, but they just don't actually cure the problem. And if you have split ends that have started to split at the end, they are going to continue to work up the hair and it's going to cause even more damage. And so I would just recommend that if you're starting to notice that you have lots of split ends, or you typically have a lot of split ends already and you're desperate to like find a cure, there's no miracle product that's going to stop them. I would recommend getting a haircut, starting with a blank canvas where your hair is healthy, and you can implement all of these steps and making sure that your hair grows in a healthy way. I've had it before where I didn't believe that getting your hair cut made your hair healthy, and so I kind of would go a really long period of time without getting my hair cut. And then when it came to getting it cut and I said to them I just want all like the dead ends cut off, I literally had about 6 inches cut off because it just was so dead that it worked its way up. Hairdressers know that, and so I would recommend that when you start this journey, get your hair regularly trimmed. I myself only now get 2 haircuts a year, so you can work your way up. You don't have to keep getting your hair cut every 6 weeks or 12 weeks or whatever it is that you believe is the best action. At the start, get your hair cut so all the dead ends are gone. Start fresh, and then trust me, I don't really get any split ends anymore, whereas I used to get so many, and it's because I used all of these different steps. They've just made such a big difference to me, and my hair, this is all my natural hair, has grown pretty long and it keeps growing, and it's curly at the moment as well. So it's grown really, really far, and I'm so proud of my hair because it was such an insecurity of mine before, but now it's probably one of my favourite features. And so if I can do this journey, and this is something why I'm so passionate about sharing my journey online, is that if I can do it, you can, because I was so insecure, honestly so insecure, and now I really love my hair and I just really want to share the tips that have worked for me with everyone else. So if you have any other tips, leave them down below. I know there's so many more I could go on about, but I didn't want this video to be too long, and I wanted to share my top tips on how to prevent that damage further. I feel like these for me are the core ones to really save my hair and prevent those split ends. So if you've enjoyed this video, please do give it a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. And my last video still has a giveaway running, and so I'd love for you to get involved with that. It's a great way for me to give back to everyone, to say thank you for your support. So if you haven't already, hit back on that video. I'll leave it linked above so you can jump on there and enter the giveaway. And with that all said and done, I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.